right, so today we are going to be talking about Git, Node, and maybe some extensions if you're using Visual Studio Code. In addition to that, we'll be talking about some JavaScript, some HTML. There's a lot going on, so that's why I'm recording it. So to start off, I'm going to go back here. I was in JavaScript Fundamentals, and I scrolled all the way to the bottom down to checkpoint. Now, hopefully by this point, you are allowed access to this repository, and it is not 404. If it does, please let me know immediately, but hopefully we'll have this problem sorted out by then. So the first thing you want to do with this, and again, the way I got here is I came to the checkpoint at the end of the first unit. I clicked on this external link, which brought this up, and then what you would want to do is click this fork button, because if we try to clone this, it's going to copy G-School's work. So what we want to do is actually click this fork button in the upper right. When we do that, it says I've already forked it because turns out I already attended Galvanize. I'll go ahead and delete that real quick. Maybe I could pull it. Well, I don't want to delete it. Darn it. Let me think for a second here. Okay. Pretend like you can clone it, and then once you clone it, it'll go back to your profile.
Yeah, it says where should we fork CCF data structures, and it shows me. So
Yeah.
I just click on that.
You want your username. Do you have access to the repo?
I do.
Okay. I don't know why.
So then just click on this.
Yeah. So ideally, your username with your profile picture would show up. You can just click on the repo. You're still 404 in. Okay. Oh my god, I thought you said it was. Okay. All right. Okay. I guess it's time to pivot. I thought that was fixed. Oh, so it's potentially you need to check your email? Oh.
And put in information on it, what I did.
Okay. Double check. You still haven't gotten an email? Okay. It would have been from Galvanize, John Armburster, Galvanize. Yeah. Okay. Oh, okay, cool. Yeah. Let me just go back and change the name. So I want to do this all the way through with you guys. So I'll click on the repository again. I am going to click fork. It's going to show me I already have this. Okay. Load that up. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to do settings, rename. This is different. Name. So let's go back. Let's fork this. Oh my gosh. So real quick, just so I don't lose all of this effort, I'm just going to copy and clone this. So this will be a little preview of what you guys are going to be doing. I'm going to pump this up again. I'm going to go into my IDE, my best friend. Pump these numbers up. Now these commands differ depending on what OS you're on. So I am not sure what is going to be the exact command. I know on Mac OS it is Command Shift P. This brings up on Visual Studio Code essentially I don't know what this is called actually now that I think about it. It's kind of like the options or like different methods that you can call within your program at that current time. So if we scroll down, we can see there's like some sort of back function. So if I clicked on that, it would just take me back to maybe it would take me back to like the last thing I did and undo it. I'm not too sure. As a matter of fact, I don't know what a lot of these do. But the point is we're looking for view toggle integrated terminal. And then, good? Okay, cool. So then what you'd want to do is keep an eye on this right here so you can remember that shortcut. I think on Mac it's a shift tilde key. So I already have it up right here, but if I was to close it and then do shift tilde key, yeah. This is my inexperience with Mac. It's not, I don't know what this key means, this up. Shift, control, control. There we go. Okay, I guess it's a control symbol. But now I have access to this terminal, and then one thing we want to make sure is that Bash is our default terminal. For Windows users, you may need to come into here and say default, let's see, select default shell. And so you can see here I have access to all of these different shells. This is when you would want to click on Bash because that's what we're going to be using predominantly. So I don't know what the command is on Windows again, but I am holding Command Shift P. It's possible on Windows it's Control Shift P. Try that if you're having trouble. And so once we have selected our new default shell, which is Bash, which we all should have installed by this point, then when we come down here and we open a new terminal, it's going to be Bash. Now, Mac only comes with Bash, but Windows is going to come with PowerShell in addition to hopefully Bash since you installed it. So once you set that shell to be your default terminal shell, then you're set to go on that. I'm going to close out of that. All right. So we are trying to clone. Oh yes, so pardon me, I am actually just going to quickly clone this so I don't erase everything, but this is just for the sake of, what is control? Sake of example. So all I did was I came into my repo after I forked it, and I clicked clone download with HTTPS. I click on this clipboard, which just means it copies it to your clipboard. Same thing as Control C. And then all I do is I do git clone space, and I enter in that exact thing that they pasted onto my clipboard. And so now you can see a bunch of stuff happens, and when I type in ls, which is shorthand for list selections, we now have this is different, which is what I rename my repository to. So if I do change directory or cd into th, I can hit tab and just have it autocomplete because that's the only other possible option with th starting. And now I'm in this new repository. So if I type in ls, you can see a lot of the same file names inside of here that are on here, right? We have store 1, 2, 3, 4, stretch exercises, get ignore, blah, 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 blah. All that's in here as well. So what I essentially just did was download my own repository. But I am not going to just stick with that. I am actually going to come down and delete this. So let me just make sure. Well, yeah, it's all there. All right. I'm going to delete it.
I'm a little lost about where we're at right now. So like, I went to clone or download it, put it on my clipboard, and then I opened up on my desktop the Visual Studio Code, right? That's where you're in?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I don't know where you got the CNN .js and all that.
That is a different file. So that's actually this one I have open right now. If it makes you feel, let's see, cd out ls. I'll do touch, which allows you to, pardon me, that's actually mkdir. This allows you to make a new folder from the command line, and I can do what is today? It's April 6th. Oh, not April. August 6th. So it looks like that didn't do anything, but if I type in ls, I can now cd into August. So I was just trying to give you guys an overview. I wasn't expecting you guys to follow me. I was just showing that I was just pulling down all my files, so that way when I delete it, I can go through the entire process with you guys. So effectively, I just deleted that. All my work, I submitted it. My teachers graded it. It's all gone. The good news is it's on my local machine, but for example purposes, that's why I did that, and I'm curious as to why. Yeah, okay. So I no longer have a clone. Pardon me, a fork of this repository. So I am going to be doing this with you guys now. So you get to this page. You're signed in with your GitHub account, obviously. Otherwise, you probably won't be able to see it. I'm going to click fork. Where should we fork it? To my profile, please. It's only going to take a few seconds. So this is I'm doing everything that you guys should be doing now. I was just doing that really quick so I didn't erase all the work I did when I actually completed it myself. All right, so now we're on this page. It should say your GitHub username on the left and then CCF data structures on the right. Cool. Now that this repository is associated with your profile, you can go ahead and now you can click clone. So in here, we're going to hit this, so that way it copies it. Now, do you guys have the terminal open? I can do this.
I don't have the terminal open. I think that's where I'm confused.
I can show you how to do it in the vanilla terminal as well.
Which one on VS?
Bash, just open Bash. I can show you on Bash. Please let me pump this up. Oh, thank you. That was gonna be rough. Okay, so I am not using VS Code right now. VS Code is not required. I'm in Bash. That is required. So please make sure you're using Bash and not PowerShell. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna type in ls, and I am in my root directory for, you know, keeping explanation short. This isn't technically my root directory, but whatever. The computer can worry about all that stuff. As far as I'm concerned, I'm in the root directory. So I'm going to go to change directory. That's what cd means. This is another bash command. I believe it works with PowerShell as well. I'm going to type in cd. And again, all I did was type in ls. So I just opened bash. I typed in ls, enter. And I got a display. Oop, I didn't know I could do that. Okay. I thought I could highlight it. Yeah, there we go. These are all the same files as if I was to come into here and I was to look at, I don't even know. I'm sure, so you can see how we have applications, we have library documents, so I have documents here, but for all intents and purposes, you can imagine that once you open bash, it's going to be at the starting point, at the root where you want it to start. Knowing that now, I can type in cd change directory. I am going to go to documents. I'm going to cd change directory into coding. So again, just to like drill this in, if I type in COD, if you look, this is the only selection that starts with COD. All the other ones don't start with COD, right? So knowing that, all I have to do is hit tab and the computer understands that I'm talking about that selection because it's literally the only possible one. So if you're wondering how I do that, it looks like it may even be the only one with a capital C. So this is case sensitive. If I typed in just a lowercase c, it wouldn't work. That's why you kind of see it dimming right there. But uppercase C, and I hit tab, it auto completes the coding. So let's go into coding. Now you don't need to do this, I'm just showing some shell commands. I'm getting to the point where I'm going to show you all the git stuff. Wait, did I already clone it? No. Why is it there? I think I'm in the wrong directory. CD galvanize, that's what it is. Yeah. Oop. Okay, here we go. So, find the directory you want to clone your project to. Essentially, that just means download. I am in a completely empty new file. I went through my file directory, I created a new file, and now it's completely empty. And you can tell because I keep typing in ls, list selections, and there's no selections. This is brand new. Okay, cool. So you're in a good spot. All right. So, gonna need to clip out a ton of this space in the recording. But, once you're in your directory that you want to clone to, recapping, I just forked this under my account. I'm on my account, I'm not on the G School one, right? You can tell because all it says is G School, that's not where we want to be. Go to your profile and go to the fork of that challenge. Click clone. Click the clipboard. And so now just in the vanilla terminal, wherever you want to be. So I just called this directory August 6th to just quickly create an empty directory. But I'll type it in again. This is completely empty. Once you're in the empty directory, wherever you want to store your files, you type git clone, and then you paste that URL in. That's all I did. Git clone URL. Enter. Oh. Enter. And then you should see something along these lines. Cloning into data structures, enumerating objects. If you type in MK, DIR, and then space, whatever you want the folder to be, that creates a new folder. But you can also, so what we're trying to do is we're trying to navigate to a place where we want our empty files to be stored. So I can show, again, this is kind of tough because a couple of you guys have Windows and I have Mac. I apologize.
I tried cloning and then it asked me for username. I put in, I thought you were talking about my Git username. And I got a fatal unauthorized access exception and encountered access to the path of my document. Denied.
Can I see your fork? Okay.
And then I pasted it in there, cloning, and then I also it's just for my username. Put it in there. I thought we were talking about my Git username. Maybe it was my
Yeah, it's not going to ask for your Windows password until you run a sudo command, which we don't need to get into. But yeah, it was talking about your GitHub username. Maybe it meant your email instead. Do you mind running it again so I can see? Yeah, we'll get back to it. Control C. And then just you can also hit this up arrow to go to previous selections. So if you hit the up arrow twice, it should just throw them in there. Okay. Yeah. So try doing so hit Control T. Now type in sudo sudo. There you go. Now type in git clone.
That's the question for Greg. I don't know.
Yes, I'll be right there.
Apostrophes in file folder names?
That's because you have a space in the folder name. So you want to start by putting in CD space and then the quote and then start typing.
Quote. Okay. So.
Yeah, you do need the quote in there if you're going to CD to something with quotes in there.
CD space.
Does anybody else have a problem where they can't clone down their own repo?
Quotations or
Just say
right.
no. The quotation. Backspace. Just the single quote.
It's not working. You type in your username.
Mary's.
Could you potentially try typing in your email address?
Yes, slash.
Yeah, you're going to need to remove this.
Nursing file directory. I'm spent.
And then try maybe, yeah, your email address, the one you used to create the account.
Because that's the way mine looked. Because I have space in my folder name. So I had to have the single quote on each side. I'm gonna go get coffee. I'll be right back.
Yeah, thank you. How to log in to GitHub. Gosh. How do I log in? Okay, here we go. The username and user email have nothing to do with login credentials. They are metadata attached to your commits. To log in, you need to add a remote URL which will use your credentials, either using the HTTPS, which is what we're trying to do right now, or an SSH one. So what you would do is type in git remote add origin HTTPS. It appears. Yeah. Username equals. What the heck is this? This should help too. This is a good one. Git config -- global space user dot name and then in quotations your GitHub account name, your profile name.
Username, wouldn't that be the same? Username and profile name?
No. Sorry. This is, yeah, like your username is your profile name. Yes, you're correct.
So username and then in quotes username.
Ray1 would be here for you, yes. And then you'll want to initialize your email. Git config global user.email.
Key does not contain a section Ray1. I did git config -- global Ray1 and then in quotes Ray1.
No, you do
Oh, you just type in username literally?
Yeah. Let me know if that doesn't work for you. Are you still having trouble? So anything you try to do from here doesn't work? If you hold command You're not frustrating me. I'm like just upset that it's not working as I expected it to. And of course, I'm using a Mac, so it's hard to understand how to fix the problems on a Windows machine and showcase that. Okay, cool. So you're in a good spot. All right. So gonna need to clip out a ton of this space in the recording. But once you're in your directory that you want to clone to, recapping, I just forked this under my account. I'm on my account. I'm not on the G School one, right? You can tell because all it says is G School. That's not where we want to be. Go to your profile and go to the fork of that challenge. Click clone. Click the clipboard. And so now just in the vanilla terminal, wherever you want to be. So I just called this directory August 6th to just quickly create an empty directory. But I'll type it in again. This is completely empty. Once you're in the empty directory, wherever you want to store your files, you type git clone, and then you paste that URL in. That's all I did. Git clone URL. Enter. Oh. Enter. And then you should see something along these lines. Cloning into data structures, enumerating objects. If you type in MK, DIR, and then space, whatever you want the folder to be, that creates a new folder. But you can also, like, so what we're trying to do is we're trying to navigate to a place where we want our empty files to be stored. So I can show, again, this is kind of tough because a couple of you guys have Windows and I have Mac. I apologize.